Hey yo, what's good everybody? It's your boy Matthew Maley for MatthewMaley.com. Well, I wanted to do another blog entry, World Series poker blog entry if you will. Was just up, well, a couple different times actually at the 50K Poker Players Championship Tournament, which is event number, I believe 45? Yeah, 45. And wanted to do a quick wrap up of it and just kind of discuss a few things about it. So, for those of you guys who don't know, this was previously called the 50K Horse Event. It has been around for 6 years now, 7 years now. Was actually won the first year by Chip Reese, the late great Chip Reese, which is cool. Now they have a tournament, a trophy that when you win it, your name goes on there. So it's kind of like the Stanley Cup where it gets all the winners on it. It's actually called the Chip Reese Trophy. It's not the coolest looking trophy, but whatever. It's still awesome that they do that, in my opinion. And it's always been the most prestigious event. Even when it was just the 5-game, just horse, which for those who don't know is Hold'em, Omaha, Raz, 7-card stud, and 7-card stud 8 or better. And the Omaha is Omaha 8 or better. And the Hold'em was limit. Then when ESPN wanted to cover it, they changed it to where the final table was all Hold'em, no limit. Just for the viewing pleasure, if you will, which I think is corny because you already have like 15 weeks worth of main event. Why not allow there be a little bit of variety? I know there used to be. I remember back in the day of watching an Omaha either 8 or better or Omaha straight tournament and a 7-card stud tournament, I think, back on ESPN. So vary it up a little bit, people, in my opinion. But that's also because I like all games. But the last, I believe it's 3 years, they actually changed it to now it's an 8-game mix. So you still have all of the original games in horse, limit, Hold'em, Omaha 8 or better, Raz, 7-card stud, 7-card stud 8 or better, as well as no limit Hold'em, pot limit Omaha, which is only Omaha high, and deuce to 7 triple drop, which is a game I really like personally. So I think that the fact that they've made it an 8-game mix really does show who the best all-around poker player is. This is, in my opinion, the best way to do it. Anybody can get lucky for a couple weeks and take down the main event. Even what's coming up, soon, the one drop. It actually starts tomorrow. The $1 million one drop. Anybody can get lucky and win that. I don't think that shows the best all-around player. This, in my opinion, definitely does. Anytime that you can, challenge somebody's ability in 8 different ways is awesome to me. So I went up there for day 1, watched a little bit right as it was starting, but then also went up on day 3 when it was down. I started watching it from 31 people down to 26, if I'm not mistaken. And it was really cool getting to see everybody. I mean, that's the... Somebody's writing me at 5:30 in the morning. That's the tournament where you do see all the pros and you get to see all these guys that you've been watching on TV and seeing them all interact with each other, and it's really cool. It's always been a tournament that I liked watching, that I like being around, just because, as a low limit guy who's trying to get there, that's where we all strive to be. That's where I want to be. So it's very cool being able to be there and just talk with a bunch of players. It was a lot like when I was watching the either the 5K or the 10K 7-card stud 8 or better tournament that I talked about in my last blog entry. Just being that close, and getting to talk with Mike Matusow and Mike Mizrachi and, see the back and forth between Helmuth and Norman Chad and all that. That's what's fun to me. That's what I love. Even when I'm not playing, I just love being in that element, being in that just arena, if you will. It's really exciting to me, just like I'm sure it is for race car drivers to be hanging out in the pits in NASCAR, or for painters to go into curated museums or stuff. I don't know. I mean, it's something that's just that exciting to me, But it was actually cool when I was there. Michael Mizrachi was in 2nd place or 3rd place in chips. And actually, I was watching for about 20 minutes, and then they went to break. So I actually got to talk with Mike again after we, talked a couple times before, specifically when he retweeted me. So it was really cool. We got to BS. I mean, we didn't talk very much because he was talking to a couple other people that were in the tournament, and then wanted to get some food. But it was cool. I at least got to, talk with him for a couple minutes, make a comment about the Miami Heat because he's from Florida and a big Heat fan, and then gave him dap and told him to play well and take it down again. I wanted to see him be a two-time winner. So it was definitely cool. Then I ended up staying around for a little while, watched as, everybody, just seen a lot of the pros, watched Ivy play for a little while, and Helmuth was still in, I mean, Victor Blum, a lot of people, and then ended up leaving, but then was reading some of the hands afterwards, and I had to give a shout out to everybody knows him as Isildur, but Victor Blum, who's known for being one of the highest nosebleed players online, hasn't been having a very good run this year. Apparently he's down over 7 million, but he ended up apparently was just learning these games like last week. He had never played Raz before. He'd never played Deuce to 7 triple draw games. I mean, he had no clue about, and he ended up pulling down, I believe it was a 1-outer at the end of day 3 that got him to the chip lead. So pretty crazy that, this kid's never even played it before, and now he's, most of the games in there, and now he's chip leading. It was nuts. I mean, granted, he got hella lucky to catch it, but it was in Pot Limit Omaha, and we all know that so much can change from one card in PLO. So definitely was crazy to see that. He ended up going out in 14th, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 14th for 100 grand. Only thing that sucked about this year, before I get into the final table and all that, was the fact that because of the 1-drop, they actually decided not to broadcast this on ESPN. Because of that, at least according to the writers for WSOP.com, that kept a lot of people who normally would have played it away from it. Obviously, you're still going to have the issues with online taking away a lot of people, or the lack thereof online, as well as some of the bigger qualifiers. But the fact that they weren't going to be running it on ESPN, I think also did keep some people away who, normally would have played. Also, you had the 1-drop coming up, less than a week later. So a lot of people who normally might be playing in the 50K have to choose, because, hey, if you're already putting up $1 million, another 50K is really going to stress your bankroll. But so that was my only disappointment, is that there were less people than usual. There was only 108 people, which actually ended up being a better turnout than they had thought. Initially, when the tournament started, there was only like 79 people or something like that. So everybody was really worried about that in terms of the overall numbers. But it ended up turning into a decent field, and actually had a pretty solid final table. Final table was for some of the bigger names, and I'll actually go through some people who got knocked out like right before. Brett Ritchie actually made a really good comeback. When I was watching, he was down to pretty much nothing left. He was at Ivy's table for a while, and I mean, he was down to, probably 10 chips. Thankfully, a couple of them were big chips, but I mean, he was low. So I didn't see exactly how he bounced back up, but apparently he did. He ended up going out in 16th place. Like I said, Victor Blum went out in 14th. Jeffrey Lissandro, who is an amazing player of all games, went out in 13th place. John Hennigan, who also was at Ivy's table and was doing really well, went out in 12th. Daniel Elahi, who was also at Ivy's table, well, pretty much that was the final table, I guess, or at least that was the final 15 table. He went out in 11th place. David Baker went out in 10th. And then the final table, some of the big names on that, David Oppenheim, who is much more known as a cash game player. I mean, he plays the absolute biggest cash games around the world. Not as big in the tournaments, but he's been trying to build it up a little bit more recently. He ended up going out in 9th place. Then Bill Chen, who's a pretty well-known player and also a pretty solid player, he went out in 7th. And then another guy vying for the second title of the 50K Poker Players Championship was Andy Block, who ended up taking who actually took second place, not going for a second time, I'm sorry. He took second place in the inaugural year when he and Chip Reese, I believe it was a 16-hour heads-up battle. Or, no, I'm sorry, it was a 16-hour final table. It was like a 9-hour or 8-hour heads-up battle. Something crazy. Absolutely crazy. And then the guy who ended up taking it down and actually made very quick work of the final table. I was planning on heading up there and watching some of the final table, but I ended up oversleeping and was thinking, I could head up there, it wasn't going to start until 2. I had initially thought it was going to be starting at 5 for the final table, but I believe it started at 2. And in like 5 hours, once again, Michael Mizrachi takes down the championship. So he is now officially a 2-time Poker Players Championship champion, which had never been done before. So big shout out to him. That's awesome. He ended up taking down 1.4 million. I was actually reading a story that they posted afterward. Nolan Dalla is the guy. Nolan Dalla, yeah, is the guy who does all of the articles as well as a lot of the PR work for the World Series. He actually is the guy that interviewed me when I took third in my circuit event. Really cool guy, really cool guy. But he wrote up a really cool article about Mizrachi, about how, Mike's had some struggles and some issues in the past, but just in the past 2 years alone, he's had 4 over $1 million cashes, which is pretty awesome when you think about it. Pretty incredible. Taking down, obviously, the Poker Players Championship twice, as well as, I believe it wasn't a WPT event. I think it was the Doyle's Classic at the Bike, as well as he won another bracelet at the EPT. I'm sorry, no, the World Series of Poker Europe, and then took down the 5th place, was it, at the November 9 last year, a year before last. So really, really cool run for him. These last couple years have just been incredible for him, especially after his somewhat of a crash following his initial success. So really, really awesome to see. It's a player that I really like, and I really respect his game. Overall, he's just awesome. And I believe this is his 2nd or 3rd final table of the main event. I'm sorry, wow, you can tell it's late. The 2012 World Series. So Mizrachi's killing it. Shout out to the Grinder. Like I said before, I'm a big fan. Loved that he responded to me on Twitter, and it was cool talking with him. So I still gotta talk to him about maybe getting him to bankroll me. But until then, he's gonna keep being one of my favorite players, and he's also my pick for 1-drop. I'm figuring let's go with the hot hand, and planning on, well, at least I'm picking him to take it down. So with that kind of a field, there's so many amazing players in that. It could be any one of the 48 people, honestly. Even if it's not one of the pros, one of these other, millionaire businessmen could easily take it down too. But I'm going to talk about 1-drop after it ends on my next blog entry. We'll say blog entry 3 for the World Series. But for now, we'll just end it with the 50K, and really, that's about it. There's not a whole lot else going on too crazy, but definitely awesome to see, and big shout out to the Grinder. So follow him on Twitter at it's at @thegrinder_44. Really cool guy. It's always cool to, I like following poker players. I like seeing all their updates. So he posts a lot of updates about not only himself, but also about his brothers who are also players. Robert, I think, went out. I know he wasn't doing too well when I was watching there on day 3. He was probably like 15th in chips, but apparently he did not make the money, so I don't know what place he went out in. And that was the only thing that sucked. They only paid 16 people. So maybe they paid a few more than that. No, I think they only paid 16. Yeah, because they weighted very heavy to where 16th and 15th place both got 91,000. So you almost doubled your money. But there you go. So there's blog entry number 2, recap of the 50K Poker Players Championship from the World Series of Poker event number 45. And, just want to catch you guys up on it. So again, shout out to the Grinder, shout out to the rest of the final table. And my goal for next year is I'm not going to say that my goal is to play the 50K, because that'd be rather lofty to have a bankroll big enough to play the 50K. But my goal is to be experienced and comfortable enough with all 8 games that I would be able to play some Super Satellite for it, so that if I did win, I actually would have a chance in the tournament. So that's my goal for next year. And I'm not saying I'm going to play like one of these, 5K satellites. I'm saying more of one of those like, $500 satellites, $1,000 satellites. So, but that is my goal for next year, is to be comfortable enough with all of the games. I'm obviously comfortable enough with Hold'em. I believe I'm pretty close with Omaha 8 or better. I am with PLO as well, though I need to work on the actual pot limit part of it. I'm comfortable with the game, but I need to get a little bit better with when to pot, where to pot, stuff like that. 7-card stud, I'm not good at. 7-card stud 8 or better, I'm even worse at. Raz, I just learned, so I definitely need to pick it up a little bit. I need to work on my limit hold'em. I don't play limit hold'em. I don't like limit hold'em, but I need to work on that. And personally, I like my deuce to 7. I haven't played it in a while, ever since Full Tilt went down. I haven't played any deuce to 7 triple draw, but I really do like it. I think it's a fun game, and I need to brush up a little bit, but I like it. And I really think it's the perfect mix. I like that you have, 2 no limits, 1 pot limit, and then the rest, the other 5 limit games. I like the mixture. I think that it's the right games, personally. I don't think you need to have, Badoogie, Badacey, Baducey, stuff like that. I don't think you need to. I don't really think you need to get Big O in there as well. It's kind of a cool idea. I personally haven't played Big O yet, but I mean, it's still. I don't want to say it's a gimmick game, but it does seem a little gimmicky in a way, especially when you already have Omaha 8 or better and pot limit Omaha. I don't really think you need Big O. So I think it's a perfect mixture of 8 games, and while they could run it to 10 games, I don't think it's necessary. I say keep it at 8 games, and my goal for next year is to be proficient in all 8 games. So there you go. Wanted to do, like I said, just a quick blog entry, or vlog technically, though I hate that term. It sounds corny. So here's my vlog entry for event 45. And there you go. So as always, thank you guys for checking out my videos. Much appreciated. I've been getting really good feedback. Been getting a lot of comments lately. Been getting lots of people following me on Twitter. Lots of people retweeting me. Lots of views. Way more views than I'm used to. So I really appreciate it. Things are popping off. And I'm doing it for you guys. So thank you as always. Of course, like I said, you can check me out on MatthewMaley.com. Or you can check me out directly on YouTube. Just search for Matthew Maley Poker. Got all my videos listed there. Also, you could check me out directly on Facebook. Like my page, search for Matthew Maley Poker. I promise, putting all these videos up on there as well. Probably day after tomorrow, actually, or maybe the next day. Actually, maybe I'll do it on 4th of July. Just take a day, lay in bed, and do it. And, of course, you can follow me on Twitter, at Matthew Maley. So, as always, thank you guys for checking out my videos. And I'm officially signing off. Until next time, peace out, y'all.